Hi, my name is Jake LaFleur. Today I'm going to show you how to run the super air meter test with the super air meter testing device for concrete. Today, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to do this filled with water. This is something that you do right when you got one of the meters to make sure that you're performing the test correctly. The first thing I'm going to do is start with a unit weight bucket full of water. At this point, I will go ahead and attach the top of the device to the bucket. You want to clamp down the opposite arms at the same time. Okay. At this point, I'm going to select the test that I want to perform on the gauge. I'm going to hold down the menu button until it flashes mode, hit enter, and select SAM. Hit enter one more time. At this point, it's going to say press enter to begin the test. Before I can do that, I need to remove all the air out of the bottom chamber. You do that using the two petcock valves on the top lid. You fill in one until it's coming out of the other one, which generally takes about 3 of these bulbs. Okay. Once you have water coming out of the other side, you want to make sure to get a steady stream of water coming out of there, and then you want to tilt and rock the meter and place it down back on the ground a couple times to make sure that you have all the air out of the bottom pot. And then shut one of the petcock valves after you're sure you have it all bled. Then I'm going to press enter to go ahead and begin the test. It's going to say apply 14.5 psi and press enter. I'm going to pressurize the top chamber to 14.5 psi. Once it's right around 14, I'm going to go ahead and close the other petcock valve and make sure that I get it to the correct pressure. If you overinflate a little bit, you can use the Schrader valve on top. Generally, when you press it down with your finger, it's about 0.01 of a psi. So you just press it until you're in the correct pressure range. Once you're in the correct pressure range, go ahead and press the enter button on the top of the gauge. It's going to read and make sure that the number is correct. At this point, make sure your petcocks are closed, and it's going to tell you to hold the lever and hit and press enter. You hold the lever. In this case, I'm using just water instead of concrete, and so I don't have to hit it and press enter. On a normal concrete test, you hit the outside of the bucket with a mallet like you would on a normal type B test. It's going to tell me to hold the lever down for 10 seconds, and then it's going to display read. At this point, you want to continue to hold the lever down. It's capturing the measurements of the equilibrium pressure. At this point, you also probably want to write down that equilibrium pressure so you can check it against your calibration numbers and make sure that you're getting similar results. Once it captures the number, it's going to display the second set of directions, which is apply 30 psi and press enter. So I'm going to inflate the top chamber to 30 psi. Very important to let it settle to a stable pressure before you press the enter button, because the program is going to make sure that it is the correct pressure. Once it's the correct pressure, press the enter button again. It's going to check it, make sure it's okay. Once it does, you hold down the lever and you press enter again. It's going to capture that equilibrium pressure after about 10 seconds. If you're verifying you're running the test correctly, you probably want to write down the equilibrium pressure that it displays when it's displaying read. Okay, after it captures that, it's going to display the next set of test directions, which is apply 45 psi and press enter. At this point, I'm going to inflate the top chamber to 45 psi. And then you have to let it come to a nice stable pressure. Once it's right at 45, press the enter button. It's going to read it. Then it's going to say OK. And to hold the lever, hit the bucket and press enter. So I'm going to hold the lever. There's no need for me to hit the bucket with just water in it, and press enter. After 10 seconds, it's going to record the equilibrium pressure, and I'm going to write down the same pressure to make sure that I'm performing the test correctly. At this point, the gauge displays purge and rerun. That simply means take the pressure out of both chambers and perform the test again. You don't have to remove the lid. First thing you do is just hit one of the petcock valves and remove the pressure in the bottom chamber. The easiest way to remove the pressure in the top chamber is to pull the ring on the back of the safety valve and deflate it down. You don't have to deflate it all the way to zero, just down lower than 14.5 psi for the next pressure step. From there, you're going to go ahead and remove all the air out of the bottom chamber again, open both petcocks, get a nice constant stream of water coming out the opposite petcock you're filling from, tilt and lower the bucket several times to make sure you're getting all of the air out of it, and then close the petcock valve, one of the petcock valves. At this point you press enter. It's going to say apply 14.5 psi and press enter. Get it to right around 14.5 psi. I didn't deflate it all the way, so I don't have to pressurize it all the way back up again. Once you get it right around there, make sure to close that second petcock valve. Once you have it right around 14.5 psi, go ahead and press the enter button. It's going to verify that pressure, and then it's going to display the same press lever, hit, press enter command, and that's what you'll do. So both petcocks are closed. Hold down the lever, press enter. If you're testing concrete, you'd hit the bucket with a mallet. After it gets done displaying the hold and displays read, you're going to want to go ahead and write that equilibrium pressure down to verify it against your calibration numbers that are going to come with your meter to make sure you're performing the test correctly. It's going to display the second set of directions, or the next set of directions, which is inflate to 30 psi. Just pump it back up to 30 psi. Once it's at 30 psi, you press enter. It's going to capture the value and make sure that it's correct. At that point, you're going to hold down the lever and press enter again. It's going to allow the chambers to come to an equilibrium pressure. Continue to hold until it displays OK. And again, you want to write down this value. It's going to display apply 45 psi and press enter. So inflate the top chamber to 45 psi. Okay, press enter. Once it's at 45 psi, it's going to read and make sure it's at the correct pressure. Then you're going to go ahead and hold down the lever and press enter again, allowing the chambers to come to an equilibrium pressure. So I'm going to hold down the lever, then I'm going to press enter. It's going to count down and allow it to come to an equilibrium pressure. You'll want to record this value again. This is the last value of the SAM test. Okay, after that, you press enter to view the results, and it's going to display the SAM number and the error percentage. At this point, you're going to go ahead and release the pressure on the system, and that is how you perform those super air meter tests. This was with just water. At this point, you would go ahead and compare these numbers to the numbers that came with your machine or your meter, and make sure that you're getting similar numbers as to what it was calibrated to. Thank you.